We're glad you're with us on this special edition of Inside Tennessee this Sunday morning. Our conversation with Sheriff Tom Spangler of Knox County. He is leaving his post. He is finished his 2 terms as sheriff, and we reflect with him on his 40-plus year career in law enforcement, as well as his best day in office, his worst day in office, and his cancer battle. Here is our conversation. How are you feeling today?
Feeling pretty good today. Not too bad.
What's it been like, your battle?
Well, this is a second battle right now. Come about 8 weeks ago. Started feeling the pain again, and I thought, nah, this isn't right. So they did another scan on me, and then they did a nerve block on me. And that nerve block has, well, I just say it was a miracle. I don't hurt the way that I did. And now just treating, and no, I haven't had chemo in about almost 5 weeks now because of this new pill that's out. I'm sure you've heard about it. And I've been accepted to that. And so we're just waiting for that to come in.
And what are the doctors saying to you?
Good prognosis. I mean, he's excited about it and excited about this pill. I'll be the first patient that he's got. He's got 2 patients, but I was the first one that got accepted. And so he's all excited, and I'm excited as well. Anticipation right now is the big thing, and we wanted here. I want to get started with it.
Mm-hmm. That's encouraging, Sheriff. I'm happy.
Oh, very encouraging.
I want to talk about some news before we talk about your career.
Okay.
Because we received a statement from you after the almost dozen people were indicted that have ties to this office. What can you say to the people of Knox County about those indictments and your message of reassurance?
Well, my message is I'm sorry that Knox County Sheriff's Office has to be involved in something like that. Even though it's before my time, before my administration, it still is a black eye on the Knox County Sheriff's Office currently. And me being the sheriff, I take the blunt of that. That's my responsibility. And you know, people believe that, you know, those things happened while I was on my watch, and it's hard to let people know that it didn't happen on my watch. This was probably one of the longest investigations that I can remember, and you know, it goes back to 6 months when I was in office, when I got called by the FBI and asked, "Hey, would you care to come by and see us?" And I thought, well, they want to see the new sheriff. Great, I'll be there. And I walk in, and the SAC looks at me and says, "Sheriff, we're going to serve you with papers." That's my look. What are you talking about? I said, "We need to go in here and talk." So we go into a room, and the agent that is handling the case originally is in there, and I don't remember who all else is in there, but they tell me that they're serving me the papers, that I need to cooperate with their investigation. They're going to need a lot of information, and I told them, I said, whatever I have, you have. You know, you tell us what you need, we'll get it for you if we have it. And I asked the question. I said, "Is this complaint come from inside or outside the agency?" And the agent was very reluctant to tell me. And the SAC said, "Tell him." And he said, "From within." So there was a whistleblower, and from then on, there wasn't much information that they would give me at all. And I wasn't about to ask. I wasn't about to interfere with their investigation. And every once in a while, I'll get a notification that, hey, we need this, we need that. And they'd get with the finance director and get some papers. And so during all that time, I'm not sure what's going on because I'm not being informed. And so I'm pretty teed off. And then it goes on, and it lingers on, and it lingers on, and it lingers for almost 7 years. And then obviously we all know who got charged with it. I did get an opportunity to sit down with the case agent to go over the case that they had last November with my attorney, Mike Rubel, and learn a few things about it. If I had been told some of the things that was going on, I could have done my own internal investigation, but I never was given any information to be able to make that happen. Outcome today makes me look bad, and I have to live with that, and I do. I take that responsibility, but the responsibility that I know that I'm taking on goes back previous to my administration.
Did you have any thinking or thoughts that it was going to be over after the federal indictment?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I had no idea until I met with the Trey Hamilton, the DOJ, and got wind from him because I wanted to hear from them. I was told by the FBI that they were the hindrance, and so I wanted to know. Didn't get much information from him, but he did make the statement that we're not pressing any more charges, and somebody else may be looking at it. And okay, here we go. And all right.
Lastly, on this question, Sheriff, this is personal. You've explained why it's personal, but you knew and know these men personally. Whether they're innocent or guilty, this has got to hurt from a friend standpoint.
It does. It hurts because I know that their career, and I know, maybe even their livelihood is done. It's over with. It's ruined. Whether they're found innocent, if the charges end up being dropped, it still doesn't matter. It's ruined these men's lives, and I feel for them for that. I stepped out and endorsed one of them that was indicted, and so how does that make me look? And but I was going on the information from the FBI that told me that no, because I specifically asked, is David Ambren going to be charged with anything, or is there anything else you're looking at? And I was told no.
We'll be back with more of our conversation with Knox County Sheriff Tom Spangler. And we're back on this Sunday morning with a special edition of Inside Tennessee and our conversation with outgoing Knox County Sheriff Tom Spangler. Sheriff, I want to talk about your best day in this office. What was it?
Is there such a day? My gosh, there were many good days. There really was. Kind of fell apart about 6 months into it, and everything hit. But one of the best days was being able to go to the employees and the county commission and getting the largest pay raise that the Knox County Sheriff's Office has ever gotten 3 years ago, to help our correctional officers and our patrolmen as well. Even though the patrol side, law enforcement side wasn't as much as our correction side, but when we're making 35,000 and we get them up to 50,000, that's huge for those people, and it's made a difference. It's made a difference of retention within the jail, even though the jail it's a revolving door. I mean, it's a tough job. I'm going to say it's probably tougher than the law enforcement side at times because those people are confined their 8-hour shift. They can't go anywhere, so they're in there with the inmate the whole time. But to be able to make that happen, and that's where we draw our people who want to go to the academy, and that number has dwindled since then. It's just like this upcoming academy. I only have 7 from corrections that are going to the academy. So we'll have some people from the outside, and then obviously it being a regional academy, we'll have outside agencies as well. But that's one of them. I want to say during the pandemic, I know that I took a lot of heat because I wouldn't mask our people up. To me, it was very unconstitutional to do that to them. So I was proud to tell my people, you do not have to wear a mask. If you go into a business and they ask you to do so, you either leave or you wear it. You know, you be respectful. Gosh, what else? Just being able to be in this seat, it's been the hugest honor for me. And I know I have 53 days left, and to be able to sit behind this desk, I don't know anybody that could say that this would not be their hugest honor, because the people elected me twice, and I'm very humbled by that.
What was your worst day?
Just a few weeks ago, when I had to bring those officers in here and tell them they've been indicted.
You also had to live through something this county hasn't seen in a long time, and that was the death of a deputy on duty.
Hardest day. My mother passed away at the same time. But Tucker he was a happy guy. He smiled all the time. The call at night that I got, you know, anytime my phone rings at night, I worry. It scares me to death. But the agency stuck together. And but yeah, as I tell people too, I said, you know, these are my children. I am an old man. You know, I'm 67 years old, and I'm a lot older than most of the people in this agency, except for those that are getting ready to retire. And I'm responsible for them. I'm responsible for their safety. And when one of them gets hurt, I hurt, because I feel like that I let them down, or I let their family down by not protecting them. And you know, that's hard to. It's hard to live with, because I'll live with that one, you know, the rest of my life. Knowing what we went through, knowing what the family's gone through. His wife caught it, and I text back and forth every once in a while. And Henny, their son, you know, without a dad, just yeah, a tough time.
It was certainly one of the county's hardest times,
Yes.
In recent memory for the department and also the community. But what can you say about the community outpouring? You often deal with people on their worst day.
Yeah.
But what came out of that worst day for a lot of people was what for you?
A lot of love from people, a lot of phone calls, condolences, you know, a lot of closeness for officers, obviously, you know, and to have watched the video of that is, you know, it's tough, but this community came together like you wouldn't believe, you know. And when the funeral procession, people lined up in the streets on Emory Road, everywhere they were at, you know, and it shows that this community cares about law enforcement, and I'm so thankful for that, because it means an awful lot to have their support, and that support is just, it's unreal. It really is. I get to go to other places and see how their support isn't there, and I get to say, you just don't know how it is, because we're fortunate. I mean, we have a few people that don't support, and that's just the way it is. But you know, overall, the support of this community has been good. It's been good to this agency. It's been good to me. And like I said, I'm honored, and most of all, I'm humbled by the support that this community gives us.
We'll have much more with Sheriff Tom Spangler right after a short break. And we're back on this Sunday morning with a special edition of Inside Tennessee and our conversation with outgoing Knox County Sheriff Tom Spangler. Mayors, no matter where they are, talk about public safety being #1 priority. The buck stops with you.
Yes, sir.
But in your 2 terms, we've seen, if I'm not mistaken, crime go down in several areas. And also, you're building up that recruiting of new deputies. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say, but it's also fair to say that it's been tough to recruit. It's been real tough. Ever since the pandemic and the George Floyd incident and those things that went on, during my terms, we saw retention go down. We saw retention go down everywhere, and then we saw people competing for other officers from other agencies, and the pool was just not there like it has been, and people didn't want to get into law enforcement. They saw the dangers, and even after Tucker was killed, we had officers that had second thoughts, and it's understandable. You say you want to put yourself in the line of fire, but when that fire comes, are you really willing to do it? And then you have family members telling you, you're not doing this anymore. And but we're starting to see a little bit, but it's still tough. We're still shorthanded just like everybody else, and we're still fighting for that. And I hope that the sheriff-elect has luck being able to recruit, and keep climbing. This community needs it. Getting off the subject a little bit, and that being with the mayor out in Farragut, we didn't pull anything away from them out there. They still have the patrol. They still have the same beats and everything. It's just that we got kicked out of our building.
You moved.
Well, we had to because we were told to. We were told that they had a new people coming in, and we needed to move out. And so we started looking. And the thing about it is, we already had our budget set for what we could spend for rent and what have you, and where they wanted us to go. We didn't have the money to do that, plus another $50,000 to renovate the place. I'm sorry, it's more than 50,000. I want to say it might have been more like 100,000 or so, and we didn't have that money in our budget to do that, and so we started looking, and we were able to find a place that we could afford, and somebody who wanted to accommodate us. And it was nothing against the town of Farragut, and there's nothing against the mayor. But when the mayor came out and said that, then that was just a complete lie, and I called him out on it.
You mentioned the sheriff-elect. What's your advice to Sheriff-elect Gibson?
I'm going to tell him what I said when I ran: do the right thing. I didn't realize how tough it would be to do the right thing, but he's got a lot to learn. He was here for 25 years. He was mainly law enforcement. He's got a lot to learn on the administrative side and the corrections side. I'll say this: the corrections is the biggest headache that a sheriff has, and there's something going on within corrections every single day, whether that be lawsuits, in custody deaths, and those are certain things we have to deal with, and so there's a lot more just to the law enforcement side of it, and we're supposed to meet here soon.
One question about the jail and the revolving door we see. Years ago, one of your predecessors told me about 5% of the population costs us 25% in the jail because they keep coming back. Is that what you've seen? And what do you think is a solution that works?
Obviously, the ones who keep coming back, more or less drug-related type incidences. One of the things that really bothers me is our mental health, and I'm probably the largest mental health hospital in East Tennessee. I think as of this morning, I had 83 in our mental health pod,
And that should be unacceptable to our community.
It should be very unacceptable. You know, that we, as law enforcement and corrections, we're not trained. We're not trained for that. We're not trained for people who act up, who throw feces at people, who smear the walls with feces and things like that. We can't deal with those. But you know, those correctional officers have to go in there and clean that up later. But that's one big issue that I think that really needs to be looked at. And the revolving door, as far as people with drug-related wanting to come in, another issue that I have is some attorneys thinks it's safer for them to be in jail than to be out on the street, so they don't want them out, and that becomes an issue for us.
We'll have much more with Sheriff Tom Spangler right after a short break. What are 3 flashbulb moments in your career in Knox County that are positive or negative that flash in your mind when you think about your career?
The obvious one is Tucker. I guess that being a bad one, because I think about that quite often. I mean, his pictures there on the wall, and good thing is the pay raise. You know, we fought very hard with the mayor. You know, I know there was a lot of talk that he and I were fighting a lot. There wasn't a lot of fighting, because I didn't want to be the one going by that window, being thrown out that window, and somebody seeing a little blur go by. You know, I can kick him in the knees, but you know, that's just about as best that I could do. You know, we went back and forth, but I sacrificed also for that. He didn't give me everything that I asked for. I had to give a few things to go along with that.
Been in the arena, Sheriff, as they say. That leads me to my last question. When people 5-10 years from now think back on Tom Spangler, when they think back on Tom Spangler, Sheriff of Knox County, what's your legacy?
Honest. Did the right thing. Just like I said when I ran. I'm not going to make any promises, but I will do the right thing. And I think that's important. You know, some people, the right thing is, they don't like that, but I think that's important to me, to be able to walk away and say, Spanky, you did the right thing. And yeah, it was tough, but you did it. Yeah, I've had a career with many of them here, and as I'm going out, many of them are retiring, and we've been good friends, and made good friends. Thank you isn't enough. You know, when the men and women have put their life on the line for 30 plus 40 years, and to say thank you just isn't enough. But I have gained more than any individual could gain as far as friendships and professional friends. And to be able to have done that with this agency, I just want to say thank you to the men and women of this agency. And that's a thank you that goes all the way back to the people who are here and just starting here, because they've chosen the Knox County Sheriff's Office to be, whether it to be a career or either a start of a job for them. And I just want to say thank you for that. But those that have stuck around during the good times and the bad times, you know, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what you've done.
We appreciate you watching Inside Tennessee. Thanks to Sheriff Spangler for his years of service to this county and beyond here in East Tennessee. We certainly wish him well. We'll see you next week right here on Inside Tennessee.